So yesterday, Cenx received a joking tweet that said, the fact that you're posting this means you aren't working on Terraria 2 right now, and Cenx responded, who is to say I'm not playing Terraria, taking notes on things I would like to change for Terraria 2. Now, when it comes to a tweet from Cenx, it's sometimes hard to tell whether it's serious or a joke, but it really got me thinking, what would I change about Terraria if I was making Terraria 2? So let's talk about that today. Now, because I've only got Terraria 1 to go off of, this is going to seem a little bit like I'm just slamming the first game, and maybe in a way I am, because there are a couple of things about Terraria 1 that I would love to see change. Now, I imagine they're probably not going to do any of this, but if they were rebuilding the game from scratch for a sequel, I really hope they avoid some of these mistakes. So first off, I think the beginning of hard mode is really slow. Now, when I first played through hard mode, I actually thought it was pretty novel. You beat the wall of flesh, and then your player is back to being weak, and you have to work your way up from the ground upwards to being a strong character again. And this used to mean just mining ores, but now you have a couple of different variations. Say, for example, with spider armor, or you could try and tank Queen Slime. That probably won't go too well for you. But most of the time, it's working your way through cobalt, mithril, and titanium, or all the different variants. Now, I do feel like because I've played through Terraria so many times, this is actually a little bit amplified for me. But when I get to this stage of the game, I feel like I have to mentally check out for about an hour to 2 hours to grab all of that ore. And then I'm like, okay, great, it's back with the actual game again. So if I was making Terraria 2, I feel like I would actually cut out those hard mode ores, and I would have the player complete a series of challenges to work their way up a couple of different tiers. Say, for example, you could have different mini bosses that you have to fight, or even break it up. So one tier is in the ice biome, one is in the desert, and one is in the underground. So you're actually moving to different points of the world, but you know that you're actually going to find something when you get there. Now, a quick break to say we are less than 38,000 subscribers away from the big 1 million. If you'd like to help me out today, consider heading down there and clicking that subscribe button. It's completely free. You can change your mind later, but if you're enjoying today's video, or you've enjoyed a couple of videos of mine recently, I feel like you'll benefit from clicking that button. So head down there right now and give it a smash. So while we're on the subject of biomes, let me move on to my next point, and that is that the ice biome is fantastic, but can very easily be skipped. The ice biome itself really is great. I love the extra challenge by having you slide around on the ice or even break through it. I love the enemies that you encounter here, but I feel like when I'm going to the ice biome, all I'm really getting is the exact same things that I've already got in the regular underground, but now it's a bigger challenge. But what's the point if I can get all of the other items somewhere else? I feel like if you were to fix this problem, you'd actually have to rebalance Terraria quite a lot, because it's been this way ever since Terraria 1.2. But I feel like something you might be able to do is actually offer the player a different spawn point. So instead of the player always spawning in the overworld, it would be nice if every now and again you actually spawn in the ice biome, or even give players the option to do it themselves, because then you know they're not going to avoid it. Now, I will say Deerclops has actually done a lot to kind of patch over with the ice biome, but I still feel like it could go a little bit further. Now, the last thing I want to say about biomes is this. I love the desert, but it is way too overtuned. Right now, the houses spawn way too low in the world to really even be worth it. The desert is once again another area where you're getting very similar items to other biomes, but the desert is a nightmare with the rolling cactus and the eggs and all of the different enemies that slap you around, and the way you have to work your way down through the desert. If the houses were slightly higher, it would be so worth it, but right now you have to slog through way too much to even be worth it. If you want to head to the bottom of the desert, you need items from the jungle. But once you've been to the jungle, you don't really need to go to the desert. I feel like this one would be a very easy fix. So one area of the game that we got in Terraria 1.4 is one that I really hope they expand on in the sequel to Terraria, if we get it. The ocean tunnel. So here's the thing. The ocean has been the same ever since the game first came out back in 2011. But recently, we got an update that added a tunnel that leads you underneath the ocean biome. But when you get to the bottom of it, there's nothing there. It is so underwhelming, unfortunately, and I just have this nagging feeling that there was going to be something there eventually. Here's the thing, if you're making a Terraria 2, I would love to see so much emphasis put on the ocean. I love underwater sections of games. I love the atmosphere. I love the challenge of trying to breathe. I don't exactly know what I would add there, but I would add something, right? If you're going to add the ocean tunnel in the sequel, I want to see it lead somewhere. I would love some ocean caves, just something that's a little bit different from what we have now. So I feel like if they made a Terraria 2, it would have a lot of elements from the first game, kind of like what they were hinting towards in the cancelled Terraria Otherworld. So if you're going to bring over some bosses from the first game, we got to talk about Gollum. Gollum is still way too easy. He just is. I don't know what they did to him in 1.4. Apparently they made him harder. He isn't. He's too easy. And it's actually so underwhelming because you beat Plantera. It's this amazing moment. You get the key to the temple. You head inside and Gollum's dead. It's just like that. I wish he was a harder boss to really make that moment of the game feel so significant. But right now, if you can kill Plantera, you can kill Gollum. And there aren't many bosses in Terraria that are like that. If you can kill Plantera, it doesn't mean you got the movement accessories for Duke Fishron. No. Or even Empress of Light. Gollum just needs a tweak. He just needs a tweak. I think he needs a ground pound to stun the player, to really force them into the air. And he just needs a little bit more aggression. So for my final thing today, I have to get this off my chest because if this makes it into the sequel, I'm going to be pretty gutted. The lunar pillars, they just go on for way too long. Whenever I play through Terraria, this is actually the point where I stop. I've actually stopped fighting the Moon Lord because I really dislike the lunar pillars that much. In concept, I think they're pretty great, and I love the lore behind them. I love them showing up in the world and all of these enemies that you have to kill. This great challenge, taking down the pillar, getting those fragments, but it lasts forever. It just does. When you're playing in Master Mode, it feels like this section of the game goes on for like an hour and a half, and then you get a boss fight that lasts a couple of minutes, and when you replay Terraria, you kind of grow to dislike them. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels like this. Maybe let me know with a comment down below. How do you feel about the lunar pillars? Am I the only one that sees it? But it just goes on. If you play in normal mode, you might not recognize it because as you go up the difficulty, you get more and more. I feel like it should be a flat rate through all of the difficulties. So that's all the things I would change in Terraria 2. Now, I used Cenx's tweet for this, so I basically just moaned about the first game. But hey, if they're making a sequel, they might not actually bring over as much as you would think. I don't know. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.